WCLN 1170 Radio and Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by JW Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Welcome back. JW Simmons here. The name of the show is We Should Know, Tuesdays, each and every Tuesday. Star Communications, Channel 16, WCLN Radio simulcast. Today we're talking about a lot of fun stuff. Might get into some other things, but we have Ray Jordan with us today. Ray is Executive Director of Sampson County Exhibition Center and also Assistant Director of Sampson County Economic Development. Darrell is a retired communications guy right here in Clinton. Darrell, a lot of folks know you by name. I could say Darrell Jones, and the reason is because you were in a position that made sure they could communicate with people.
This is true.
This is true.
And I still like communicating with people.
There you go. So I want to thank both of you for being here. And Darrell, you're also on the Live After 5 committee.
Correct.
It's been 2 years. I am literally trying to absorb that. When we look at COVID, everything just kind of went blank there for a while. I know we kept doing stuff, but Live After 5, the event that everybody looked forward to, now what, 11th year we're going into, or 10th year, 11th year? It's amazing how this has gone, but it's coming up again. And the announcement, the media announcement, I thought you did a great job with that, is out. All the information went out to the media. And we got a lot of bands coming up, Darrell. Darrell did a great job for us 2 years ago in announcing from the stage, and he's done a good job in that area. So I want to kind of get a feel, and I'm going to start with Darrell. Darrell, I'm going to start with you today. What's your sense as we go into August and the committees come together and they decided, well, let's go ahead and kick these things back into gear. The governor's taking the restrictions off. So what's your sense on how people are going to come back? Do you see a lot of people coming back? Do you see people coming back with masks? Is there still hesitancy out there? Just give us your gut feeling on that.
Well, as my feelings are that the people are ready to party. They're ready for live bands. They're ready to see their neighbors. They're ready to socialize. And of course, we're going to encourage, if you don't have the vaccination, to wear a mask. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, people are just anxious, in my opinion, to get out and socialize and enjoy life and enjoy those live bands that we're going to be having on stage.
Absolutely. Ray, you had a lot of push even last year when COVID was, the shutdown was, the governor was telling you couldn't do it. You still had some people that was telling you, let's go ahead and do it anyway, right?
Yes, we did. When the restrictions came into place for mass gatherings, obviously, the presenting partners are the Sampson Arts Council, the City of Clinton, mm-hmm. and the County of Sampson. And obviously, if there's any three organizations that cannot violate a governor's order, it's going to be those three. And obviously, we want to do the right thing. But we did have a lot of folks that really missed the events and that have been clamoring for us to come back and to get going. And our committee, as we've talked, and mostly via email or Zoom over the past year, it has been when we are sure that we can be open and not violate any rules and regulations, mm-hmm. that's what we're going to do. And as Darrell said, the CDC guidelines and the guidelines by the state, they are what they are. And just we're asking folks to abide by those as the best they can. And, I expect we'll see folks wearing masks. I'll expect we'll see folks that are not. But, but we do anticipate at some of the events there will be, the health department may be on site offering vaccinations during some of the events.
Mm-hmm. Darrell, are you finding that a lot of folks you're communicating with, and I see it a lot at grocery stores and different places, some people are mask people, some are not. I told somebody the other day I carry a mask with me just in case I run into people that are mask people. I don't want to offend anybody. How do you think this is going to play out, just your gut feeling on this?
Well, I firmly believe that the individuals that haven't been vaccinated, particularly those children, mm-hmm. you're going to be seeing them masked up mm-hmm.
When
they come to our function. And it being a family-friendly environment, that's great. We want them there, mm-hmm. whether they're masked or unmasked. Mm-hmm. But you know, we're going to be seeing a lot of happy faces because of no masks, and we're going to get out there and we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time. I'm totally excited for the new shows to come in. It's going to be hot in August, but it's going to be hot on stage too, because they're going to be performing really good.
Well, I think it is. And Ray, one of the things that strikes me is we're talking about this, as Darrell just so eloquently pointed out, people are ready to come back and do something. People are ready to get out. And for the most part, in previous sessions, everybody's worked when you guys have been kind of spearheading a lot of this stuff, people will come and I've heard people say, I look forward to this each and every year.
Right.
Now, 1 year has gone by. So there's just a sense that I'm hearing from y'all that we may have larger crowds than we even anticipated from 2 years ago.
Yeah, and that's very likely. I mean, you know, since the issues, the orders were issued, and bringing us to date. I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, we were scheduled to start in May. We still weren't sure what the restrictions and guidelines would be, but obviously it's when it opened up for June. But we had a lot of folks that were kind of upset with us as to why we weren't starting in June. You know, why are y'all waiting until August? Well, the main reason for that is that we were trying to be assured that we're going to be able to go forward without making some false assumptions that we could start and then not be able to. The second thing is, you know, we've not done our solicitation of sponsors to fund the season. We've started last year, well, in 2020, we started our fundraising campaign. And JW, it takes about $35,000 cash to operate the season. And we had raised in early February and March of 20, we had raised about $13,000. When on March 16th, everything was shut down. So at that point, we notified the sponsors and we said to them, we thank you for your support, your money, we have it. If you'd like a refund, we'll gladly send that to you. And if you're not, we'll apply it to the next season. So I say all that to the point that while we do have money in the bank, we've got a long way to go in recruiting sponsors to fund the season. And that's part of our delay in announcing and starting. We got to make sure we got the money to do it as we go forward. And our committee will be working hard through July 30th to secure sponsors and to be able to fund this season.
Do you feel like, from what you guys are hearing, that there is a significant sense of support in the community, particularly with businesses and those kinds of things? Have you had time to sample that market yet?
We've had folks that are calling and asking when we're going to start, when they can support, but I'm sure that we're going to run into some that were affected and have been continue to be affected by closures and the work environment going on. There may be some that may support at a lesser level, or that may not be able to this year. But I do think overall, I think we're going to wind up, you know, our community is very giving. You know, I say to people all the time that, you know, I can't imagine, you know, other communities where so many of the people that sponsor events, they sponsor over and over, and they're very strong community oriented for these type of events. And so I do anticipate that we'll meet our budget and hopefully we'll exceed it.
One of the things, Darrell, I know that has been discussed in the past is, and so far it just seems like we've done a pretty good job of involving the broader community in this event, particularly as it relates to age. Do you feel like we need to make a bigger effort, or do you feel comfortable with the age younger? Let me put it like this, the younger group. I started to say the X and Y generation, but that's thrown out there so much. But people that are younger, in their 20s, 18, 20, you know, that kind of age. I know we had a pretty big turnout, 3 years ago or what have you, with that group. Are we putting enough attention to that, or do you expect that group to come back?
I expect that group to come back, and they're going to bring friends. We don't have a certain age group that comes every time. If you're out there, I'm normally out there helping set up from 12 o'clock on till it's done at 9 o'clock at night. We have our senior folks to come in at 5 o'clock and set up chairs in front of the stage, and we're still setting up. They're ready. They're ready. They can get there like that because most of them are retired.
Right.
Then at 5:30 to 6 o'clock, the younger generation, if you will, comes in, and they bring their kids. And they've gotten off work, they've been home, they've gotten changed, and they're ready to go. They're ready to enjoy a nice evening of live music, and I should say a free concert to go along with it. But as it is, we're going to have a really good, diverse group of people again. We haven't had any issues with, we're just doing with senior citizens, or we're going with the millennials, or no, that's not an issue. Everybody shows up because it's a family-oriented event.
I think one of the things that strikes me, as Darrell was just talking, is that in the past, the committee's tried different bands, different kinds of music, tried to attract. And I think as I look back at it now, I don't know of anything that really you couldn't have touched on that I'm just trying to figure out, is there something that you feel like you've missed?
Well, if you think about it this way, as you stated earlier, this year marks this is our 11th year, but our 10th anniversary.
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID.
Yeah.
So this will be actually the 10th anniversary of the series, even though we're in year 11. But over the course of those years, we've presented to, we've tried to introduce bands. We've had different genres of music in an attempt to try to get different folks to come. But as Darrell said, we do have a wide variety of and a diversity of age, and it's kind of all over the place. When you're, for example, our first band this year is Spare Change, and they'll attract a wide range of people.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to kind of get into that a little bit, and then talk about some of the ways that you're marketing it and trying to get that message out, and kind of get folks to know that it's okay if they want to reach out to somebody in another town. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. We're going to get a little more into the weeds with a Live After 5 with folks that's been doing it for a number of years now. Stay tuned. Call a friend. Be back in a moment.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
We should know is on there. If you're just joining us, we appreciate you being with us today. If you're coming back from our first segment, we're talking about entertainment. We're talking about things that's happening that didn't happen last year. We're talking with two people that's leading that charge with Live After 5, Ray Jordan, and of course Darrell Jones is a committee member. And Ray's been, you've been instrumental in starting this thing. People like Darrell and others that's on that committee has kind of bolstered that in making the connectivity in the communities. We spoke a little bit about it in first break, in the first segment before break, this idea of the funding part. And I think it's important for folks to understand that this is not being funded, Darrell, through your tax dollars or my tax dollars. Ray, can I successfully say it's being funded by the people in the community?
That's exactly right. Live After 5 is presented by the City of Clinton, Sampson County, and the Sampson Arts Council, but it's totally funded through donations from our community. There's no tax dollars in it. There's no state or federal. It's all money that is donated by the sponsors who are trying to create a better sense of community and having cultural programs that enhance the quality of life.
And Darrell, would you say that this is, as you're talking to people, and I know you've been very aggressive in raising some of these funds, when you're talking to them, is this kind of a way that businesses and individuals can kind of salute their community?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. This is showing their support for the community and their willingness to provide this type of entertainment for their customers, as well as, the people in Sampson County and the city of Clinton and surrounding areas. It's not just, let me just point this out, it's not just businesses that donate, and we greatly appreciate them, but there's a lot of individuals that will donate to $250 or $500. Ray will send out some people the list of the donors, and there's some individuals on there that donate. So we can't just restrict it to businesses.
That's right.
It is not restricted to just businesses. It's anybody.
And that's a relatively long list of those individuals, isn't it?
It really is. So don't just restrict to businesses. Any individual that would like to participate and donate, by all means, we totally encourage that.
Yeah, JW, typically in a year, in a normal year, we will have nearing 80 sponsors. There's been times we've had close to 100. And those range up from our sponsorship levels begin at 250, as Darrell said, and they increase to 500, 1,000, 2,500, 5,000, and we have sponsors in every category. We do have a lot of 500 and 250, and there's benefits that go along with that those sponsors receive. So it's not just that they're laying their money out in our hands, but they do receive some things back, some perks, so to speak. Sponsors reception events we have for sponsors. They get some at various levels. They get to come out and exhibit. So a lot of them use it the opportunity to let the community know what they sell or what they offer, or what services they provide. And those we have, for example, Duplin Winery. We're talking about out of the county. We have sponsors from in the county and out of the county. Duplin Winery is one of our concession sponsors. They come over and they, obviously they're marketing Duplin wines. Same way, for example, Star Communications. They're there at every event with a booth, and they're looking customers, and they're meeting the community and having the community to meet them. So it's a good opportunity for a sponsor that would like to do that. Now, the one thing they can't do is they can't sell their wares or goods at the event. Now, they can tell all about it, but it's not a sales event. It's a come out and promotional.
You don't want it to turn into a flea market.
Exactly.
So I think when we look at it, and I want to kind of get into the weeds a little bit on the funding itself, you've got the categories, and as Darrell just pointed out, there's a category there for folks that just want to kind of say, hey, as an individual, I'm going to write you a check. I'm a sponsor. They get to participate in, as you talked about, the perks and that kind of thing. That kind of gets a little attractive for a lot of folks because they like to, I know in the past they've had events where you go to the farmer's market there with the cover, and you go in and you have all kinds of food and that kind of thing and beverage, and that happens for about an hour, and then that goes away and it's just all band and just talking to folks outside and that kind of thing. Give me kind of a sense of how that sponsorship level goes. You got the 250, you go up, and there's different perks for each category.
That's correct. As we said, we start at 250. And a 250 level sponsorship has certain the level of perks obviously increased by the dollar amount.
Absolutely.
So let's kind of pick on the $1,000 level.
Okay.
So at the $1,000 sponsor level, which is considered our gold sponsor, a business or an individual, most of the time it's going to be a business at that level, will be able to come out and exhibit at all 5 events this year. So that's one thing JW would point out. This year, we're having 5 concerts in a condensed period. So
that's a lot of activity.
That's a lot of activity, and that's very worth noting because typically we would do 4. And the reason we had 5 is when we scheduled for 2020, we had booked 5 because we were going to do one in partnership with a special event that was coming through the community called Cycle NC. Well, obviously COVID got all of that, but we had paid the bands for our deposits, and we didn't want them to go without working, so we're trying to bring them all forward. So we've got a jam-packed lineup. Yeah. We may want to talk about that first.
Yeah. Well, we could. Let's go ahead and talk. We can talk about the lineup, and then either way. But I need to get it out there.
So August 6th, the 19th of August, we're starting with the band Spare Change. They're a fun band. Jordan Rouse and his group, they do a great job. So that's going to be on August 19th. September 16th, we're having the Entertainers. Now that's they're more known for beach music. They'll be there. So then again, 2 weeks later in September, on September 30th, we're having the Cat 5 band. And then October 7th, we're bringing back the Band of Oz. And this year we're going later into October, trying to get the 5th event in. So our final event of the season will be on October 21st, featuring Jim Quick and Coastline. Now, one thing I like to say is, and so make sure we know, is that, in the past, JW, we've had our sponsors reception that you had talked about. The one thing with the sponsors reception, historically, for 9 years, Jenny Evans, Evans Catering, she donated all the catering, food service, the food cost, her labor, her staff, everybody, for our sponsors reception. So
we need to give her a big shout out.
Big shout out. Jenny has done that for us for 9 years, and this past year she made the decision to retire, and Evans Catering is no longer. But she has been truly one of our biggest supporters and sponsors of it, and we'd like to thank her. So as we were looking at what do we do now as we move forward, especially in the short time frame that we've got to work, we've reached out to one of our past food vendors, Matthew Register with Southern Smoke and South Catering.
Our nationally known chef.
Exactly. Yeah. And so Matthew, this year, so one of our changes to our sponsors, we're going to say this year, instead of sponsor reception, we're saying sponsor events. So this year for the sponsors events, there will be 5. There will be 3 that will feature the food of Matthew Register and Southern Smoke that will be for sponsors receptions. The other 2 events will will be beer and wine receptions.
Okay.
So they'll still be under the market. It'll still have this place for the sponsors to come and go and gather, and they can be a bit back and forth between that and the concert area. So that's very important to point out. So, and that's for all categories. But back to the sponsor levels, I will touch back to the 250 sponsor. So for a 250 sponsorship, that will get a person 2 tickets to each sponsor's event. They get them 2 T-shirts, and they'll be listed on the website, and parking passes and such as that. And as you go up in your sponsor levels, the number of people increase. For example, in the $1,000 level, I'm trying to make sure I'm going to try to cheat here on JW. With a $1,000 sponsor level, then you can exhibit at each of the 5 concerts.
And exhibit, you mean a booth?
A booth, yeah, they can have a booth.
Whatever what they want to out there.
And market their wares, correct. And with that one, they get more tickets to the event, so they would get 6. They would have tickets for 6 people to come to each event. So, and they creep up as you go. And those are, if you think for $1,000, you're going to get just to exhibit at all 5 events. You're going to have T-shirts. You're going to have, the other thing we left out is our Bright Board, which is our big mobile marquee where we promote logos and sponsorships. Those levels of 500 and up will be on that sign. So during the concert, your logo is popping up on a big giant billboard throughout the show.
And Darrell, your picture might pop up there.
Yeah, it will.
You can never tell.
I hope not.
Hey, well, who knows? What can I say?
And so those sponsorships are opportunities are available. And so how we go about soliciting sponsors is, obviously, if you're listening and you'd like to find out more, you can call my office or you can call Darrell. You can call me at the Expo Center, and that number is 910-592-6451. It's also online at aliveafter5clintonNC.com.
Now that's a website just for?
That's a website just for the Alive After 5. So it's aliveafter5clintonNC.com. And the sponsor levels are on there. You can click and pay right there online, and we'll take care of you. But typically what we do is we've got a master mailing list, and our committee will pull out certain ones that they'll go visit, and then others might receive it by mail. But we're soliciting sponsors. The important thing this year is that July 30th is our deadline. We're going to do all of everything in our effort to have everything in place by July 30th so that we can do all the things we got to do in preparation for the first concert.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to follow up a little bit more because, as you said, this is kind of a in-depth thing when you start talking about sponsors and how you get them and who you contact. So I want to make sure we cover that.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. We're talking about a big event, a lot of stuff going on in August forward. Call a friend. Stay tuned.
At home or away, knowing who is at your door is priceless. Star Communications is here to help with its doorbell security camera by Skybell. Live viewing and two-way audio equips you with the ability to always see and greet anyone that shows up at your door. If this is the kind of confidence you are looking for, call Star Communications today at 1-800-706-6538 to learn more about this intelligent security that you can always depend on.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We Should Know is on there. I'm your host, JW Simmons. Got a couple of folks with me today. We're talking about fun stuff. Darrell Jones with the Live After 5 committee, and Ray Jordan with multiple titles, also leading the charge here with Live After 5 coming up this fall. A lot of fun stuff happening starting in August, ending in October. How many bands did you say, Ray?
5 bands this season.
5 bands. That's like pressed into what, 2 or 3 months, what we usually spread out over what, 4, 5, or 6?
Correct. That's correct. So
Darrell, have we got too much one time going on, or you think we can handle this?
We can handle it. There's no doubt in my mind we've got some tremendously positive people that's working on the committee, and they're going to be out soliciting funds, and they'll be helping set up and make sure everything goes smoothly for the crowd. We are excited about having to do this, and the people should be just as more excited than we are, because it's going to be within 2 to 3 weeks of each concert, of these 5 concerts, that you'll be able to come out and have live music and dance and socialize and enjoy life.
And they don't have to worry about, let's figure out where I want to go. All they got to do is just drive to town or walk down the street.
JW, the best part is free.
Yeah, and I think that's what, a lot of times when you're talking about, they'll go, wait a minute, there's not an entry fee or anything. And
Exactly.
for that being said, those folks that do donate, either, as Darrell, you pointed out, a lot of those individuals, those $250 that they donate, or the big companies, they make that word free possible.
That's correct.
No tax dollars.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
I think that's tremendous. I think we could even probably satisfy a lot of folks by saying that, simply because everybody's concerned about what's happening with their tax dollars.
Exactly.
We got to think about JW for 10 years, or for 9 past years. This season has been totally funded by private donations, and that says a lot about your community, and how people value what you've been doing, and they see the value, and they're willing to continually support it. We've got a list. I'd say more than half of the sponsors that we have had at the last season sponsored each of the 9 years. So our retention rate of sponsors is very high. It may be higher than that, but we've had some to go, some to come. But that mainstay of those steady sponsors, obviously they would not stay if they didn't see the value in it for them and for the community.
Well, one of the things you mentioned too with sponsors, and Darrell, I think we've seen a lot of different sponsors out there. You've already mentioned Duplo Winery, which is one of the largest wineries in the Southeast. Star Communications and representing its membership as being part of the community. That's critically important. But other organizations that stepped up to be part of that is. You just keep seeing people show up, and you're going, "Wow, what is happening here?" And folks that do everything from I guess sell waffles right around. But is there folks that you particularly want to speak to? I know we've had the automotive folks. I won't start calling names. I'll probably leave somebody out. But they've been pretty aggressively supporting it to show their vehicles at the fall of the year. Now, depending on what happens with the automobile industry, they might not have any if they don't get these chips straightened out. But do you see that as another thing you would like to say to them? Hey, we're doing this. This is go.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's obviously we would like to seek sponsors that want to be with us and want to support us. But there provides a great opportunity for these folks. But again, trying to mention sponsors. I promise you, if I started, I would truly forget someone.
Oh, absolutely.
But we do have, for example, some of the long mainstays. Duke Energy has been with us for 9 years, and they will be with us for this year. But you have those institutional sponsorships that as I said earlier, they would not continue to be with us if they did not see the value for both sides. It's not one-sided.
Do you both you guys get around a lot? I'll say travel. Do you see these kinds of things happening in other towns similar to, larger or smaller than Clinton? And if you do, kind of give us an idea of what you're seeing out there. Is it something that's kind of taken hold in the landscape?
Well, when you were talking about the number of events a while ago in the short compressed time, I was thinking, yeah, there are some concert series very similar and a lot of night at the beach or whatever you might call them, downtown square music type events that I've looked at their schedules and I've thought, how in the world do you do so many concerts in this time span? There's some that do it every week. I mean, they'll do it from Memorial Day to Labor Day every week. And I can't fathom having to raise that much money to do, plus the manpower to do it. But there are a lot of communities. Benson has a great series. You know, other towns have them. I think even White Lake and Elizabethtown started one. You know, one of the biggest in Raleigh area is Midtown South series. And you know, that's huge. I mean, they'll have 5,000 to 10,000 people per event. So, you know, the community loves these type events. And I mean, the people do because they can come out. And you know, in our events, JW, and Darrell alluded to this, they're family friendly. We've never had any trouble with anybody being out there cutting up and doing something they shouldn't do. We've had kids from, you know, you can look out on a dance floor and there'll be these, you know, small kids out there playing and dancing, and you'll see, I'd say from 9 to 92.
And the event ends what, 8:30, 9 o'clock?
So the way the concerts go is we start about 5:30 with a DJ, and but our bands take the stage at 6 o'clock. They'll take 1 or 2 breaks, depending. Most time it's 1, and they'll play until 8:45. So by 9 o'clock, everybody's headed home.
So Darrell, when you're kind of looking at your community and your neighbors and that kind of thing, do you get a sense that folks are not only supporting this, but they're willing to say, look, I want to give you a little donation here, because you do a lot of fundraising and collection. Do you see any hesitation?
Well, no, I don't see any hesitation because they know what it's doing for the community, and particularly the businesses. I'd like to point out, I don't know that some of the businesses realize what it does for the employees, because with the perks that the businesses get with the tickets to go to the event, you know, the sponsor event, there's a challenge to get that ticket by the employee. And so I think if the business owners understood what it's doing to the morale of their employees, you'd have a whole lot more going on, because businesses want to make sure the employees are happy. And it's a challenge to get these sponsor event tickets for the employee. Now the employees get them, but it's always like a waiting list. But the fundraising itself, I look out when I'm up on stage making the announcements. I tell people, look at the events that we have, look at our sponsors, because it's on the marquee up there above the stage. And I said, call those people, go by and talk to them, tell them thank you. If that's all you do, just tell them thank you for sponsoring us. We've got a tremendous amount of sponsors they're just super. I mean, these businesses and these local individuals, they're just super because they realize what they're doing for the community and the surrounding area.
Ray, do you have a limited number of display stations, or is it kind of unlimited?
We have some capacity issues, but we have not ever exceeded it. So we've got room for growth. As far as placement of sponsors, we still can. If we had 15 or more you wanted to exhibit, we can make it happen. So
it's like, for example, some of the small businesses downtown, if they wanted to come and set up and show some of the wares and things that they sell, they could do that.
Yes. So to be an exhibitor, that's at the $500 and up level. So a $500 sponsor, which is called, what, Darrell, is it a silver sponsor? They can exhibit at one event, plus they get all the perks of the others. at $1,000 and up, they can participate at all the events.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. But something I thought about as Darrell was talking about the sponsors and using it with your employees, one of the other things we've seen too is that a lot of the companies will use them for their customers as a thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, there may be these companies that, for example, you might be a patron of Big Blue, and you might be one of their good customers in JW, and they'll might send you a pair of tickets to use at the event. So we've seen a lot of that too with others. So it's been employees and as a thank you to customers. So we've seen it from both sides.
It's kind of a reciprocal effect where you get it, and Darrell, as you pointed out, you hand it to somebody else, and then they get excited about it, and then they bring somebody, and they get excited about it. Is that a good marketing plan? It sounds like it would be an ideal marketing plan.
Yeah. It works well, and because people do like the receptions, it gives some place. Sometimes, like Darrell said, in August it's hot, but so sometimes they going underneath that market building and to be able to sit down and people really like that.
Well, and I think the relationship building that you have, a lot of times, I know, Darrell, you're always out there talking to people. Of course, Ray is, but you see people that maybe hadn't seen somebody in a while, and sometimes they'll invite people from out of town.
That's right.
And say, hey, meet me at so-and-so, and we'll go in and have, a beverage or whatever, that Matthew's serving. Right. And it's just a good kind of local, laid-back event that I think it's designed to fit all of these needs. And we're talking about individuals, we're talking about families, we're talking about children. I'm sure you've seen it, I have too, the kids are up in front of the I'm talking little kids dancing. I just get so excited about just watching that. We're going to go to break. When we come back, this is going to be kind of the last segment. So I want to make sure we get everything in that we can in this segment. And as we do that, one of the things I do want to touch on, and I'll kind of use this as a teaser for folks, we're going to talk about how important it is to look at it from the outside perspective. All these towns around us can also just drive here very quickly and participate in the event. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned. We're talking about Live After 5, fun stuff. Be right back.
To get the most out of your electronic devices, you need a strong internet connection and a protected home Wi-Fi network. You need high-speed internet from Star. Star has the fastest, most affordable high-speed internet service available for all your devices. We have no long-term contracts or high-pressure sales. Our service speaks for itself, and switching is hassle-free. We take care of everything with free installation from a local company. High-speed internet from Star. Internet at the speed of life.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We Should Know, of course, is here. I'm JW Simmons, your host. I want to thank you again for your comments, for bringing information to us that we need to know to supply you with programs and not only information, but in many cases, educational events that you've asked about. We've explored some topics that were brought to us by you, and we like to hear from you. So we want you to continue to send us your communication, your thoughts, pluses, minuses, hopefully not too many, but pluses would be good, to weshouldknow.edu@gmail.com. We should know edu@gmail.com. And yes, I do understand a lot of folks still like to drop a card in the mail or send a little note. You can send that to Post Office Box 1482, Clinton, North Carolina. That's Post Office Box 1482, Clinton, North Carolina. If you're from this area, you can send it to Clinton, North Carolina, and it's the same zip code. So we look forward to hearing from you and reaching out to us. We're talking today, ladies and gentlemen, to Ray Jordan. Ray, you've got those titles again. I'm going to touch on one of them in a minute. The director of the Exhibition Center and also associate or assistant director of economic development. Darrell, you've been around not quite as long as I have, but you've been in a lot of stuff, everything from communications to marketing stuff to business stuff, and now you've kind of, I guess I'm going to say this, do you feel like you have been blessed and you're now giving back to the community?
Oh, I've definitely been blessed, particularly just being here in Clinton and Sampson County.
Absolutely.
I've never been in an environment that is so friendly, that is so encouraging for everyone to be successful, and it's just a great place for families to come to, and definitely for businesses to come in, because they got a great place to set up a business and prosper.
Ray, you might want to just can that, and you can use that for a marketing piece for your economic development role there. What do you see events like Live After 5? You know, we talked about in the first segment that it seems there's a lot of smaller towns and rural areas moving forward with these events. Tie it in for us how you see it from your economic development hat.
So JW, that's a very good point. You know, with my position with the Economic Development Commission for Sampson County, I serve as Assistant Director. Stephen Baring is our Director, and you can visit our website at sampsonedc.com. You can learn more information about the Economic Development Commission. But what's interesting and important for that is that, you know, our job as working for the Economic Development Commission is the recruitment and or retention of jobs and industry and non-residential growth in the community. Well, we obviously, you know, everyone knows we live in a largely agricultural community, and that's a strong heritage that should never go without remembering. And
we're very proud of that.
Very, very proud of that. But the thing is, too, is we have a very diverse industrial base. We've not had any significant loss of industry that would cause a tremendous impact in the community. So it's very diverse. But the things that people are looking at when they consider any community, not just Sampson County, is that they look for a good place to do business. Or is the people there going to be friendly to us, and can we be friendly to them? That's the questions that are asked. Do you have the suitable property and buildings and stuff? Obviously you got to have that. But then you get into the other aspects of it that are very important, is the quality of life, education, and workforce. So if you take the last three, education, workforce, and quality of life, those three go together. So how do you attract more people to come to the community to be workforce? Well, they want good amenities. They want nice restaurants. They want things to do, family-friendly events. That's where Live After 5 fits in. So these type of events and others that go on throughout our community, you've got Ag Day coming up in October. We've got other events that are coming up. The Sampson County Health Department is going to do a community day in the coming months that you'll hear more about soon. You've got Sorghum Festival. You've got, you know, all these other things that are adding to the quality of life. And people want people that look at us for potentially as locating an industry here. They would like to come. They want to come to a place where they feel welcome, but they feel that is vibrant and growing. They obviously don't want to go to a dying community. So, you know, having a healthy community with that has growth and is vibrant is what people are looking for when they try to find where to locate or land a new industry. So that's very important to us with the Economic Development Commission. Things like a Live After 5 and others that greatly add to our tool belt when we start trying to recruit people.
Darrell, do you think, as a result of going through this pandemic, that it has caused us as, I'll say, citizens to look more at drivable events rather than something we've got to get on a plane and jet to and that kind of thing? Has that increased the not only our sensitivity but our desire to see more of what is in our immediate area?
I think with the pandemic, we have seen people that's going to be staying at home, and they are able to contribute to the community as far as businesses and to buy local. Okay, when that happens, people get to know each other better. They realize that there's some products and or services out there they were not familiar with pre-pandemic. And so as it is with the pandemic, I guess you call it a two-edged sword. That it's bad, but on the other hand, it's kind of enlightened us as to what we do have and what we can be thankful for in our local communities. So
Ray, you gave out a telephone number. You're trying to get as many of this or as much of this stuff done by the end of July as possible.
Exactly.
Speaking of the committee, I know I've heard you put this out a number of times. If there's folks out there that's interested in participating as part of this Live After 5 committee, they can reach out to you. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Thank you for mentioning that, JW. It was on my mind a second ago, and we got on a different subject, but we would love to have some new committee members. That's what the success of this committee is the strength of the committee members. And we've had quite a few that have been on us the whole time, and we've had people coming and going. But you've got to have folks that are committed to it, that understand and they want to be a part. The more we have, the less the workload is for everyone on the committee, and basically, we don't meet a lot, so it is not a huge time for people to make a commitment to. But the primary things we look for in a committee members is obviously folks that can help us raise money, help us make decisions about what bands to have, and then actually the day of the events and before help us market the events, and then also to come out and help set up and break down following the events. So but if you add it all together, it's not something that would just require a meeting every month and things like that. But we are soliciting and would like to have people to come join us and that want to join us and bring new ideas, because obviously, there's always a different mousetrap. We just got to look for it. So new ideas and how we can move and keep this thing moving forward. I mean, obviously we've been around 10 years, so hopefully we're doing some things right. But we can't rest on our laurels and not keep moving forward and continue to grow.
I heard two things in that commentary, Darrell. I heard innovation, and I heard somebody with some muscles. I mean, I'm just thinking that's kind of what I picked up on. What do you think?
We're talking younger people.
That's exactly.
But I will point out that you can call Ray, but also on the website there is a sign-up place there for volunteers.
Good.
And so I would highly encourage it. I enjoy it. I mean, I have a ball.
Absolutely. And I can attest to that.
Yeah, I get up on stage because some people don't like to talk.
Exactly.
And I just enjoy it. And I just love seeing the people out.
You can see all of it.
Oh, you can see it all. And as we mentioned earlier in one of the other segments, there's so many there's a variety of people out there.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Age, everything.
And everybody's smiling.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
And that's important right there, especially after the pandemic.
Yeah.
We need to see more of that smile going on. And we got about 60 seconds here to wrap up. I'll start with you, Darrell, and then I'll go to Ray.
Well, I'm looking forward to the season. I was one of those that got with Ray about doing it in June.
Yeah.
And but I'm just excited for it. I'm anxious to see the people. I'm anxious to see the bands. And it's a family-friendly environment. Ray mentioned earlier, zero issues, and we have police presence out there, but they are not needed.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking care of
They're
business.
having fun like we are.
They're having fun, and that's what I'm really looking forward to starting off this season.
Right.
JW, I guess that we really need to let folks know where to find us. So if anybody's looking to more information about becoming a sponsor of Sampson Expo Center, call me there, 592-6451. Visit our website, which is Alive After 5, ClintonNC.com, all spelled out. There's no abbreviations in there. You can find out more information. But we really would like to encourage those that are listening, tuning in. If you have interest in becoming a sponsor and we've not seen you or called you, please call us. We'll send someone over to visit with you and share more information about how you can join the effort to present the Alive After 5 concert series in our community. As Darrell said, it's a fun event, family friendly, and we could not do it. And lastly, JD, we got to thank the committee. You're on our committee. You've been on it for probably, I think, since the beginning.
I've been on a lot of committees from the beginning.
Yeah.
Darrell, don't say anything. You have too.
And but we've got a great committee. We've actually got one new person that attended the last meeting, and so we're looking for more. But that's what we need.
Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for what you do for the community. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being with us each and every week. We look forward to seeing you again next week, and may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host JW Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.